All right, so we just survived the giant ban wave. I want to kind of get straight into it. The meta is going to be shaking up quite a bit. We're setting up for Super Slam, and I want to know why, and I want to think about why that ban wave happened. What really caused it? What spurred it on? Why did we need to slow Gravy Bones down so much? Why did we need to take away some of the power away from Arachne Slip Through the Cracks and Marionette and technically Huntsman, or just all assassins in general with that Bonds of Agony ban? Why is that? Is that because Super Slam is going to be underpowered with those cards in the meta? Let's take a look at that, this time on Cast a Commotion. So we're getting all of the Super Slam spoilers out now, and we're starting to kind of see a picture coming together, and I'm only really seeing buzz around the reviled heroes, RKO being the primary focus, it seems like. Tough Nut's getting a little bit of love, but he has a very basic style of gameplay, very face-forward, very honest math, nothing too crazy. Pallades looks to be playing a little more like Aura Bravo, which is also fine. There's nothing at all wrong with that. I just don't know why the format had to get such a grinding halt attached to it, because Gravy Bones was a well-oiled machine at the higher levels. I can definitely see why they banned both Golden Tipples. They should have only banned the yellow, but they banned the red as well. Taking two of them is a bit too much. It slows him down so much, and he can't really afford to be a defensive deck because he's got so many cards that don't defend, and all of the defensive cards he has access to really don't follow any kind of a long-term game plan. That kind of push is what made Gravy Bones really work. So I think it's a huge mistake to do that. I think we're just pulling power to pull power. There's got to be a reason for it. Why? I wanted to take a look at some of the Super Slam spoiler cards, primarily focusing on the reviled heroes. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's go ahead and get into that. So let's go ahead and just first take a look at KO Underhanded Cheat, and understand that you start the game with one weapon zone. We're still the same old KO. We're not back in time or anything, which I like to kind of speculate that we're jumping back and forth in time and trying to really find out what happened throughout the history with the light and the dark sets. Maybe those are like the before times, and after this is like the fall, kind of like Dark World Link style. But this is KO Underhanded Cheat. He has an instant that is 4 resources, tap, target attack action card you control has base 6 power. Now that's not brute attack action, that's any attack action. And that brings a lot of possibilities into play with a lot of older cards. And I'm very interested to see what we can do with this. But on top of being able to mutate the power to 6, he also says whenever the crowd boos you, create a Vigor token. So we saw in Heavy Hitters, the previous KO created Might. This one creates Vigor. I wonder where we're going to go from there, right? 40 health, 4 intellect. The reason I brought KO, the Underhanded Cheat, up was some of the justifications for getting rid of Bonds of Agony, where we don't like seeing the Sucker Punch rolling into a set full of nothing but sucker punches. I found a little weird. The damned if you do, the damned if you don't quote comes to mind. And what I really want to bring to attention right now is a card called Big Bully. Okay. 2 resources, 4 attack, 3 defense. It's a red. When this attacks a hero, if you have more life than them, the crowd boos you. So you get a Vigor for the next turn with KO, which means his instant ability technically only costs 1 pitch, 1 blue pitch. All right. Now, if you've been booed this turn, this card's base power is doubled. It has a base power of 4, but KO can turn that base power to 6. meaning that for one pitch, this big bully turns into 12 for, well, I guess technically 12 for 5, but it's still 12 attack out of nowhere, like the RKO. Other things we see are going to be cards like Mocking Blow, 0 cost, with a previous Vigor token and his ability. Let's just read the card, I'm sorry. Mocking Blow, 0 cost, 3 block, 1 base power. When this attacks, if you have more life than them, the crowd boos you. That gives you another Vigor token. If you've been booed this turn, this gets +4. So on its face, it's 0 attack, 1 base power, +4. You get booed. 0 for 5. Unless you're KO and you had that Vigor token from last turn and you're rolling momentum like KO does. And you're blocking with 2 cards and converting a 2-card hand into, let's say, 1 base power turns into 6. +4 is 3 for 10. Just out of nowhere. Now, the argument here could be there's no crazy on-hits like Bonds of Agony. But even at the midway point of game, you can't be sitting there trying to guess, am I blocking 1 or am I blocking 10? Am I blocking 4 or am I blocking 12? That just starts to become lethal on its face right out the gate. So we slowed down Gravy Bones, and we took away some of the Sucker Punch and crazy huge offense that the Assassins have to give it to RKO. Plays more like Uzuri than Uzuri does, which is not great to say out loud, right? You also have cards. You'll also have introduced brute cards like Smashing Ground. This one's a little I'm not worried about this one so much. It's if this has 6 or more power, when this hits a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal. Destroy a card in their arsenal. Yeah, KO can turn it to base power 6, but that's required. Like, hopefully they have a Vigor token, and then even then, it costs 3, so it's 6 resources for a really bad Command and Conquer. Like, it's okay, but I'm not worried about that one. I am personally thinking of way more stupid cards than just what's in this set when it comes to Super Slam. The kind of shenanigans I'm talking about are some Coax a Commotion, surprise hitting for 6, getting that Quicken token, drawing a card, gaining a life, creating huge setup turns. Even things like, then we start talking about things like Mischievous Meeps, all of a sudden having 6 base power. When it hits a hero, gain an item or draw a card, it has Go Again on it. And then after you start thinking about Quicken tokens, you can start thinking about cards like Snatch. The whole rainbow is now useful to you, because if you're getting Quicken tokens, you just jump in there and get that Go Again Snatch with 6 base power if you have the resources for it. And now we're talking about, okay, so KO has the 1 weapon, or maybe even has a smaller weapon like the Medex that only costs 2, or whatever weapon you choose to run. You can even then start thinking about even bigger than that to draw a card, get more Quicken tokens. And then we're starting to talk about endgame, like, okay, so endgame KO, your opponent's at 10 life, and you present something as simple as a Vipox. Maybe it has Go Again from a Quicken token. Maybe it's an attack for 1. Maybe it's an attack for 6 plus whatever you didn't defend with in your hand. And it just... Razor Reflex starts to become a consideration for KO, because you're just pitching so much blue and you have so many of these small on-hits like Meeps or Snatch or whatever, that Razor Reflex starts to become a consideration. I know this starts to become a weaving web of what-ifs and how many things... But we just talked about how we don't like sucker punches and how we don't like the damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of gameplay. And all RKO does is create damned if you do, damned if you don't gameplay. I don't understand the process of take away all of the weapons for Gravy Bones to keep tempo pushing and keep the game plan ending, because all of those still required him to discard a card. Which means, yeah, obviously it was very likely going to be an ally or like a Sea Legs or something like that. But it was churning through his deck. And every time you see endgame Gravy Bones, they maybe have 10, 15 cards left in the deck. Tops. More likely I end the game with like under 10 cards left in my deck. Yeah, I have some cards in my graveyard that are usable, but Gravy Bones has a definite endpoint, a definite end goal, and he has to kill you by that timer. It's kind of like the way that I think Chain was supposed to be. Like, you have this timer on you, you're stripping away at your deck, but, you know, that was a little extreme back in the day. So I just don't understand the idea of stealing all away the tempo that he has and trying to slow him down into more of a mid-range setup deck when he doesn't have the ability to create those mid-range setup situations because he just can't block as well. He literally just cannot block as well. And now we're looking at Sucker Punch City from RKO. I don't even know what Lyath is going to be able to do. And I largely think it's going to be the same thing there. You could have huge setup turns with even bigger than that. Nimby, that can set you up into those smaller snatches that you can just Razor Reflex or do whatever kind of pump or leave them hanging, or any of these aura cards that Lyath is going to have available to him. And he can always pump the defense on his cards. So yeah, everything probably defends for 2 most likely, but then it defends for 3 anyway. Multiple times he gets the boo, he gets the might token, and then he's pumping in like a snatch for, not even just like a snatch for 5, but like maybe, I don't know. It's just the reviled talent, I feel like, goes against everything they just said they wanted to ban out of Bonds of Agony. And because of that, it becomes very difficult for decks like Gravy Bones to justify play when they no longer have the ability to push tempo. Yes, it seems extreme to say that kind of a thing, but I don't quite have 100 games on this new build, but he's so much slower. And with enough block, like, if honestly, even Guardians could take out Gravy Bones with just block with 2 cards, hammer a minion. Block 2 cards, overload a minion, hammer a minion. E-strike, hammer. Just overloads, E-strikes, or out muscles. There were so many options for Guardians even to deal with this. And then obviously every other class could fairly well deal with Gravy Bones if they were patient enough. Prism being borderline unwinnable unless the Gravy Bones is very good. I'm not amazing with him yet, clearly, because I struggle with the Prism matchup, but LSS, I struggle trying to understand what you did. At the same time, listen to my words in this podcast. Listen to what you're able to do with the revered heroes. As much as this is a complaint about the bans, this is more also, look what I found you can do with RKO. You're going to be in all of these tiny little, honestly, it feels kind of like Briar Light, just without Channel Mount Heroic. If you set up those Coax and Commotions, God, even like the even bigger than that, it's just anything to give you those Quicken tokens or the Agility tokens, anything with those like small little on hits. And your opponent's a little reckless and doesn't quite respect the pump of the 6 base power. Oh man, the games are going to end so fast, because once they get down to like sub 15 life, all of those tiny little on hits like Vipox or whatever. I'm not saying every RKO is going to run this kind of thing. I don't even know if that's good. But then you start looking at the big bully card or whatever, and it's starting to come in for 12. And it's just, you're turning pummels on. You have access to all these cards with Razor Reflex. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about the revered heroes, to be honest with you. Let's take a look at some of the spoilers. I mean, obviously, there's like, I like the upfront, honest gameplay because it is very strong and it's very easy to math out. Like Good-Natured Brutality, for example, the yellow card that costs 2 has 0 defense and 6 attack. And it says when this defends, if you have no cards in hand, it gets +6 and the crowd cheers you. When the crowd cheers you, you get a toughness token, so it ends up defending for like 7 or something. I don't even know if that's specifically how that works. Even Pallades, right? Return an aura permanent you control to its owner's hand seems very on face for like her Cries of Encore. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets when this hits a hero, you may put an Aura of Suspense from your graveyard. This turn you may play a card. Sorry, I'm just, my head's running in circles with how honest the revered heroes are. And then you just think about the reviled heroes and they're just, why didn't Azuri get anything this set? You know? Like, what are the, like, what did Azuri get? I feel like, yeah, like Hunter or Hunted, maybe. We're starting to see the release of spoilers. I also wanted to talk about that. You can go check out TCG Talk's video. Make sure to always, if I talk about a spoiler, go ahead and check out the video. I'm going to name the YouTube channel you can check out their spoiler on. But like, Katsu's getting some support. Some people think that this might see a revitalization of some Katsu play. I've been selling some Ninja cards on my eBay store and my TCG Player store lately because people may have known about this spoiler or seen it because of the ass hat somewhere in, I think it was Europe where it got leaked. I don't know. But Tempest Palm Gust Wave, 0 cost, 3 defense, 3 attack combo. If Surging Strike was the last attack this combat chain, this gets +2, so it goes to 5 attack. And then if it's played at chain link 3 or higher, it gets go again. So very wide chain capability, goes with Katsu very well. I do believe it's definitely a decent amount of support. The next one is going to be from Smurf Fab, right? Go check out that channel, look at the video. They go over a huge breakdown of what you can do with this, which I liked. I like that that he went over such a fantastic way of using this card and what it does for your deck. I'm not going to go over all that. Make sure to go check out Smurf Fab's video. Angelic Attendant, 0 cost yellow, 3 block, really good. Light Illusionist action. Awaken target figment you control, flip it. Put this into your soul, go again. Honestly, pretty fantastic support piece. If you run into a bottleneck of soul stuff, it helps a lot with that. And it blocks for 3. It's a yellow card. It's very good. I think Prism's already kind of a problem that we don't know about yet. Obviously, having Guardian and Brute come in to check Prism will also kind of help keep her down, but she is very good. Ooh, hiccup. She is very good out the gate. I don't see any other spoilers that are going to be available to us right now. Kind of odd to say I'm going to make this the shortest podcast entry yet. I just wanted to get like a conversation going about what the hell happened? Why did we go from no Sucker Punch to Sucker Punch City and no Uzuri support? Because Uzuri would have been a fantastic addition to this. Just to make sure, like, if you're going to give the Queen of Sucker Punches nothing in the Sucker Punch set? I don't know. I'm just confused, LSS. Make sure to check out all my things, my Patreon. That way you can jump into our Discord. You can tell me what's really good and you can show me how to play this game because apparently I don't know what's going on. Because I can't figure out how to make Gravy Bones work into this current meta or with the new heroes coming out. Make sure to check out that eBay and TCG Player store. As always, the eBay store is actually going up left and right. It's getting the most cards sent to that one. Thanks so much for hanging out. Deckheads, this one is zeroed.